Yeah, I am so mad at myself. I did all of that talking on Martha's Vineyard and freaking didn't record. So I'm doing it again. Episode 6. Jasmine starts off as she ended last time, crying about being married. Now, here's the thing. I was not the first person in my friend group to um to be married. Um, the first person in my line sister who got married, and she really went through this a lot because we were all, I would say about 5 years, between 3 to 5 years younger than she was. I was the youngest of the group. So I'm exactly 5 years apart. And I feel like an 18-year-old versus single woman versus a 23, 20, no, she was 25. So actually 7 years. Um, Married woman didn't have anything in common. She was in a long-term relationship. They got married. I did go to the wedding, and it was a few of us who went to the wedding. Everyone kind of, she was upset about that. So that was upset number one, that out of seven of us, 7 or 8, only like two of us went to the wedding. So she was upset about that. When I say 7 or 8, there were 6 of us on the line, but if you want to include the people who came before me, so that makes it 8. So, and she's clearly was there because she was in the wedding. So that's 7 of us. But we didn't, none of us went to the after party. No, like, the reception. Um, we went to a party. So she was upset with all of us, needless to say, that number one, we didn't all come. Number two, we went to a party. We didn't stay. And I feel like the expectation of us at 18 is probably that. And she was also upset that we would not invite her to parties. And I'm like, but why? Like you should be hanging out with your married folks, and we will be hanging out with our single folks, and then we can hook up when it comes to something that makes sense for us to hook up. But why would we keep inviting you to a club? Our intention is to do this: meet men. We're not here to just hang out and, for game night or barbecues. Like, so we made attempts to go to stuff that she had. Is just that it's not something that our worlds were apart. And I realized that Jasmine does feel isolated, because it does feel isolating to be married when no one else is. And then he's going to have, because then these single folks are going to have a bit of a problem and say stuff about why you're making decisions about doing things. Like, why are you checking in with your husband? Why are you like, you know, uh, the dynamics of your relationship are questioned because they are single and they don't have those kind of considerations that they have to deal with. So I get it. And even when Jordan made a comment about, she just thought that Jasmine was living in this La La Land and she didn't realize that it wasn't La La Land. I was like, oh, you're still not getting it. But they don't get it. And even when they hung out, you got to see, Jordan also made a comment. It was nice to see pre Jasmine before she got married. I was like, you're not looking at pre Jasmine. looking at Jasmine. And I don't get it. I don't get why they don't. I understand why they don't get it, but it's growing pains. And unfortunately, it appears it doesn't have to be as isolating. You don't have to give up your friendships. It's just that your friendship relationships have shifted, and that's okay. That's okay. You may also need to expand your friendships, and that's okay. My line sister even went as far as she got upset for first year wedding anniversary. She's like, y'all not gonna do anything for me for my first year wedding anniversary. We collectively was like, nah, that's what your husband is supposed to do. Not only do we not remember, we don't care. So Bria made a comment, when I get married, I'll still be crazy Bria. And I was like, no, you will not. And if you do plan on doing that, then I'm gonna let you know right now. Look forward to the divorce, because you should be evolving, he should be evolving, your plans should be different. I don't see why people are rejecting the natural changes and shifts that marriage does bring, but then also want to get married. Like it doesn't work that way. Jason talks too much at the dinner. Bria's like, spit it out. It kind of makes everybody laugh. Then there was a conversation like, well, it looks like more people are going to be having sex. And they're like, well, people are having self-love. Question about this dog. I am so annoyed with this dog. I mean, Milo seems to be cool and I get that, but Milo isn't fixed. Look, this is not an emotional dog. An emotional dog would be fixed, would be potty trained, wouldn't be humping people, wouldn't walk out the door and he runs. That's he's just a pet. And keep it 100. Anyway, I can't stand Bria, y'all. That night she thought she was gonna get some, and then Simon was like, "I'm full." I have never had someone turn me down saying, "I'm full." Okay. Shanice comes in, she's making a round. Shanice and Bria had an OnlyFans. Forgive me. I checked out on some of this conversation, but some of this, I was just like, okay. Milo pooped in the house. Oh, that's what I was saying. Potty train. Alex immediately wants to have a meeting. Preston is my person, he goes. So Silos is walking past Bria's door to get to my non-existent door to talk about Milo's poop. And Milo is like, Preston's like, I'm gonna need y'all to act like adults. They have a girls' meeting and they're talking about dating, and Shanice is pretty much like having, dates and having random, you know, sex with dudes, which, look, I don't think, I actually don't see a problem with this. But my only concern is how men they see you on television and how they assume things about you and they don't treat you respectfully because they see that you are willing to do whatever. And that's my only concern. I mean, I don't, a lot of this house is just really not likable outside of Preston, to be honest. Um, Shanice wants to, the girls are saying that Shanice should address Alex for Googling her and not really interested in her because he looked at Google and he's like, yeah, I don't want to deal with this. I'm confused. Are you confused? Because I'm confused. So we're upset that Alex Googled you? Okay. The guys are hanging. And what is happening with the guys? The guys are hanging and they eat. The guys are going out. The girls are going out. The guys are going out. I love how Preston made a comment. They're like, "Oh, what do you think the girls doing? Taking free drinks, working, having a blast, right? Getting all underneath Silas's skin." Silas is talking about how he is thinking that that this whole trip is ruining his routine, and how he's working and trying to keep a routine. Jasmine is acting like this is a vacation. Sir, it's a vacation, isn't it? Aren't we filming you one vacation? Okay. And so that means that she's not doing the things like Nick makes a comment about, no, where's your breakfast? And he's like, yeah, she's sleeping in. She's off schedule. And then he comments about how his sandwich wasn't prepared correctly. Silas, look, I dated more than one outfit. And my best friend and I are actually having a conversation at the moment. And Silas, just like my best friend, who's older than me, is talking. I saw this young girl. Well, I saw this woman where I was like, oh, she'd be perfect for you. About your height, she's cool, she's pretty, she's in a career, perfect. She's too old. She's younger than you. Yeah, yeah. She needs to be 28. Between 28 and what, 34? Huh. So you want someone, him and I have always gotten into it about his dating choices because he always dates people who he thinks he's better than. Not saying that he is better than, but his career trajectory is going better than her career's trajectory. So then you can always feel superior over her. And that's what he does. And this is Silas. Um, and so my best friend's talking about, I was like, yeah, I don't hang out with undergrads. He's like, no, not undergrad, grad student. Oh, grad student. Sir, you are well into your career. Who dates a grad? Why would you feel the need to date someone who is probably just kind of starting their career? So then you can make them feel less than, or you can help build them up. And this is Silas. I mean, another alpha. I mean, he's two alpha. Anyway, where, you need to build him up, build this girl up, and she's supposed to be catering. You don't view her as an equal. This is not a partnership. This is you do this for me. And then on the next episode, he's complaining about his pants and you going off about his pants. So if you want to iron your own pants, here's iron. You want to steam your pants, here's a steamer. Like you don't want an equal to you because you would be like, because she would respond like how I would respond. You, if you want them done a certain way, you do what you did. You do it yourself. I have things to do too, sir. I cannot. Um, I love that the men are holding him accountable to this. Uh, Silas is actually trying to sit here and pushing that Jason has sex with somebody else. And Jason's like, I have a 3-month old. I'm just getting out of a situation. I'm gonna need to ease on down the road. I think that is a legit response because I'm gonna let you know right now, a 3-month old at the house, especially, I don't know if he's living with the woman still, if they're still living together, or if she's living in another house and he's living someplace else, even though they've broken up, that breakup is fresh. And you have a baby, and I'm gonna let you know her hormones are still all over the place because you have a baby, and those hormones are raging, and I am getting annoyed on her behalf because he's on vacation, paid or not paid. It's so funny to me because this was the conversation on Twitter was about him being on vacation with his 3 months old. And I was like, I'm gonna let you know right now, even if he's getting paid, even though he is getting paid, and all these women are talking about, oh, it's cool, it's cool. Yeah, it's cool. But when you are working, you're waking up every 3 to 4 hours, you are breastfeeding, you are pumping, you are changing diapers, like 10 diapers a day, 8 to 10 diapers a day. You are burping, you are burping the baby, you are lack of sleep. Baby has doctor's appointments, and he is off in Martha's Vineyard for 2 weeks. He has a situation, and adding a woman to it makes it worse. Take that from someone who's had 2 babies. And I mean, the first baby was a struggle because it was both him and I adjusting to having this baby who's crying, who's rocking, and I was working in school. We don't know what this woman's doing. Working in school, exhausted. I don't know. I'm sleeping every 2 hours. I'm grading. I'm driving to the west side, working in the office for 20 hours. I'm going to class on the other side of town. So, I mean, it was a lot, y'all. I was even working for Black Friday. I worked Black Friday, left my baby with, I mean, I did not do Thanksgiving that year was applesauce. I didn't go to nobody's house for Thanksgiving. Um, yeah, it was rough. So to see him on TV and to know that he would have been away for at least a week to 2 weeks maybe on a show, even though he's getting paid, that's a lot. Yeah, you can cut me a check, but you know what's best for me? Come feed this baby. Come change this baby diaper. Watch the baby so I can go take a shower. So Silas pissed me off. You sound like a child. A woman sent them a shot. Amir's like, no, you can't take a shot. You don't want your wife to take a shot. It was sent from a dude, so you can't take a shot sent from a woman. I loved it. All the men were like, so where's your wedding ring? Like, he's catching all this flack. You know why? Because he's bugging. Women are drunk. Jordan's in her bathing suit in the jacuzzi in her own little world. Shanice has no clothes on, standing next to Simon. I am loving how Jason is like, he's looking. He's like, I'm not gonna not look. But Bria is upset because because she feels that Simon is being disrespectful because you should have seen her butt naked and left. Okay. She feels that Shanice should not be butt naked around him. Okay. But look, here's the thing. Bria is also a disrespectful person. Typically, disrespectful people hang out with disrespectful people. So, birds of a feather flock together. Very difficult, Bria, for you to get upset with Shanice for being disrespectful when you're disrespectful too. See how that works? Mm-hmm. Simon and Shanice. Oh, yeah. I died when Bria came into the house. She was upset and Summer and Silas was in the kitchen, and she's like, Shanice is out there in the jacuzzi with my boyfriend, naked. Summer did not move a muscle. She's like, of course she is. Look, I'm gonna be honest. I was Summer this entire. Summer is probably the only person at this moment, except her little alpha comment. I didn't like that alpha feed comment from a while ago, but she's the only one at this moment that makes sense to me. She's the least problematic woman, and that's saying a lot. Another night of having loud sex. Y'all, if you've ever had a roommate situation, you turn on music. Okay? You turn on music and do the deal. You figure out a way to not be loud. Like, how old are we and you can't be loud? She's had roommates. Like, I am over it. I am over it. I am so over it. I am just so over it. Run water, turn music on, and do the do. Y'all act like y'all are 10. Not sexually active, but I'm saying 10 as mentality and lack of creativity. Y'all have had roommates. Ugh, I do not like, you know, I think the one thing I kind of like this show, Summer House, Martha's Vineyard. I think the problem that I have with the overall show is that there's not that many people on the show that are likable. And y'all have found the least likable group of people, of Black people, and it is stunning. Anywho, because I mean, literally, Preston is the only likable person on this show. Alex isn't bad. I kind of like Amir. Actually, I do like Amir. I like Jordan too, but Jordan has some little problematic components. But there are more unlikable people on this show than likable, and I think that's a problem. I think Jason is cool. Um, I don't have a problem with Nick. See, here's the thing. I hold people up to their expectations, and I hate to say this, but especially when you're in a Divine Nine fraternity or sorority, there are stereotypes that typically they attract a kind of group of people. And so my expectations are kind of met by once you say that you're a member of a certain Divine Nine, I switch it in my head like, okay, Rolodex, Rolodex. Okay, so here the expectations are for this particular group of individuals. Now you have, I do prejudgment, and 99.9% of the time, it it my prejudgment stands. So, uh, the next day, we find out that Bria was twerking on the kitchen table. Disgusting. Shanice was twerking on the dining table. Disgusting. And Bria is taking the moment to talk to everybody in the house about Shanice. She goes to Nick. I love this. This is a typical Kappa. I'll listen, but I have no comment. I loved it. They really don't like to get in people's business. Preston goes, have you noticed that all the problems surround you? What do you mean? Do you not think that you're the common denominator? I chuckle. Anyway, Summer. Look, here's the key component of this. As she has talked to everybody in the house but Shanice. Here's the thing about this that I would like to bring out. Because Bria's upset that she feels that everybody seems to be okay with how Shanice is acting. I don't think this is not a everybody situation at this moment. This is a you situation at this moment because Silas was not there at that moment. And Silas is the only other couple in the house. So all these other single men in the house, well, Nick, but his girl's not there. So all these other men are free to look and with consent touch her. So this is not a house discussion. But what I find funny about all of this is that Shanice, what I find funny is that Bria, ma'am, let's chat. The house is responding to you in this way because you're a disrespectful woman. They're not on your side because you're disrespectful. If you were a respectful woman on the other 5 episodes of the show, on every other day, then you know what? People would be on your side. But because you were a disrespectful person, you were the dog and didn't tell nobody. And didn't care about how other people felt about the dog. You 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 have your boyfriend staying for a week and didn't care what anybody thought about that. You you had a huge problem with Mariah that was really uncalled for. You let the dog swim in the pool. You and very disrespectful. You called Silas racist when insinuated it. So all of these consistently disrespectful things doesn't really get people to want to fight your battles with you, ma'am. So what are people's responses? Right. So Shanice, Amir, Alex, Jordan, they're going to play tennis. I love the fact that Shanice made a comment. I am giving Alex a second chance. Did Alex ask for a second chance? Alex doesn't want to have drama in his life. He Googled you. It looked like drama. He's like, I'll pass. Why is that such a big deal? Why does he want a second chance? He doesn't want to be with you. Now, they're supposed to be taking the table outside to have this lunch or dinner, early dinner or something. Lunar. Instead of just being like, okay, you grab that in, you grab this in, and let's lift and let's put it out here. Silas wants to give this long discussion about who his career was and what he did in the military, blah, 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 blah. I don't understand that. Like, he gets upset with Jasmine because she felt that she should have defended him about being called a dictator. Simultaneously, talking to her about the kind of shoes she should wear and the kind of clothes she should wear. And then as she proceeds to walk out of the house, he comments on the shoes she wears once again, as if she hasn't dressed herself for all of her adult life. But no, he wants her to call who he wants his wife to defend him of being called a dictator. Sure. Alex compliments Jordan by saying that she has a nice derriere. She doesn't know how to feel about this. He also comes to the conversation with saying, when we first got here, the men got together and talked about Jordan being assigned to a person. And because you've been assigned to a mirror, that he hasn't really gotten to know her. This was really offensive. And I don't understand where Alex is coming from with having this conversation. But anyway, Shanice comes to the lunch, Lunar, topless. I thought it was funny, but I know this is not gonna go over well. But like I said, birds of a feather flock together. Don't get mad now. This show. Have a great rest of your evening.